Welcome to the Man of Recaps. This is the complete Daredevil recap before the new series Daredevil Born Again. Matt Murdock is a blind lawyer who by day defends the people of Hell's Kitchen with his law degree. But by night, he's a vigilante who defends Hell's Kitchen with his fists. Yes, he lost his eyesight in a freak toxic chemical spill, but that gave him super enhanced other senses. So he really is blind, but he can hear well enough to see the world around him, much like a bat. Unfortunately, the name Batman was taken. But he's not named Daredevil yet. At first, he's just the Man in Black. And he's a top-tier fighter who beats up hordes of bad guys in epic one-take hallway fights. That's what made the show originally famous. His law partner is Foggy Nelson, who's a classic funny best friend. He befriended a nurse, Claire Temple, who patches him up when he gets injured, and he doesn't have super healing or anything, so that's literally all the time. And Matt is a good Catholic boy, so his other best friend is the confessional. Yes, he's got that Catholic guilt, so he doesn't kill bad guys. It's not a sin if they live. Now the series begins when they take a new client, Karen Page, who has just been framed for murder. But with Matt's super hearing, he can tell she's telling the truth, so he hits the streets to cut to the core of this conspiracy and clear Karen's name. Now without a job and with two new best friends, Karen joins Nelson and Murdock as their new assistant. But they just unknowingly disrupted the plans of the big crime boss of all New York, Wilson Fisk. He's a calm, collected guy, makes himself breakfast every morning with classical music, but under the surface he's barely containing a bottomless pit of rage. But we meet Fisk in romance mode as he's just fallen in love with an art dealer, Vanessa. One of his henchmen rudely interrupts his and Vanessa's first date. "You embarrassed me in front of Vanessa!" And Wilson Fisk famously bashes this guy's head in with his car door. Karen and Foggy are working to take down Fisk legally, and eventually they succeed. But Fisk immediately breaks out because most of the police are on his payroll. Matt had to beat up a bunch of his cops, so the Fisk-owned newspaper named him the Devil of Hell's Kitchen. And Matt decided to embrace that name with a devil-themed supersuit. So it's the final showdown, and Fisk doesn't technically have superpowers, but he is inhumanly strong. But in the end, Matt lets the devil out, and Wilson Fisk is going to jail. Now the newspapers call him a hero, and he gets his real name, Daredevil. In Season 2, there's a new vigilante in town. Yes, it's the Punisher. His superpower is just guns, and he is a one-man army, takes out a whole gang single-handedly. So he butts heads with Daredevil. "Listen, Red, you may not kill bad guys, but I do, so deal with it." Karen Page looks into the Punisher's past. He's Frank Castle, a war hero whose family was killed in a gang shootout. As Karen spends some time with Frank, she realizes he's not a bad guy, he's a hero. And in fact, these two kind of have some sexual tension. Karen helps him discover that the villain is Frank's old commanding officer, so the Punisher kills him and gets vengeance for his family. So in The Punisher Season 1, Frank's quest for vengeance is done. Except turns out it's not. The conspiracy went deeper than he realized. Frank reaches out to his old best friend, Billy Russo, but turns out it was Billy who killed his family as part of a CIA cover-up. So he puts the Punisher vest back on, and at the carousel where his family was killed, takes out Billy Russo, and his quest for vengeance is finally done. Until Punisher Season 2, where Billy Russo survived. So he puts the Punisher vest back on, kills Billy Russo for good, and his quest for vengeance is finally over. Except Frank came to realize there's lots of people who need vengeance, and an endless supply of bad guys to punish. But back to Daredevil. In the second half of Season 2, we meet Matt's old blind sensei, Stick, who trained him to fight when he was a kid. He's caught up in an ancient mystical ninja war against an evil organization called the Hand. Now Matt is recruited back into that fight by his ex-girlfriend Elektra. Now Elektra is super hot, but spending her whole life fighting ninjas, she's kind of a little bit crazy. But Matt brings out the best in her, and she is his one true love. Although Matt is kind of a ladies' man, by this point he's already made out with Karen and Claire. So Matt and Elektra reconnect while fighting lots of ninjas together. Just an infinite supply of ninjas. The Hand is really good at recruiting. And in the final showdown, Elektra dies. Now it's time for The Defenders, the crossover series of all these shows, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. You can watch my full recap to get the story on all those series. It doesn't seem like any of them are coming back now, but they may eventually. So the Hand took Elektra's body and using their mystic blood ritual, brought her back to life. But now Elektra has amnesia, so she's manipulated by the Hand's leader, Sigourney Weaver, into being their super assassin, the Black Sky. All our heroes were fighting the Hand in their own way, and now they're united for an epic group hallway fight. Yes, the Defenders have assembled, but assembled is the Avengers thing. The Defenders just kind of meet up. And they have a funny group dynamic because Matt's the only one with a supersuit. It comes down to the final fight between Matt and Elektra. "I love you, baby. Stop being evil." So as the building comes crashing down, these two are making out and die in each other's arms. Until Daredevil Season 3, where Matt survived. He was rescued by nuns, obviously. Did Elektra survive too? We never find out. This season drops the ninja stuff and focuses back on Wilson Fisk. He makes a deal with the FBI to give up lots of other gangs in exchange for house arrest. He is still technically a prisoner, but he's got a secret man cave where he's back to doing crime boss stuff. One agent tries to blow the whistle, but he was the last to know. Through bribes or blackmail, Fisk basically owns them all, and so he's turned the FBI into his new gang. And they call him by his code name. Yes, it's Kingpin. Fisk wants revenge on lawyer Matt Murdock, who put him away originally, so he sets him up to be killed. But he didn't know that Matt was Fisk's other arch-enemy, Daredevil, who excels in one-take hallway fights. Now, Fisk takes a special interest in one of his agents, Ben Poindexter. He was born, apparently, with kind of a superpower to throw things really good. He's quite unstable and is a prime candidate for Fisk's manipulations. Fisk sends him out to kill people, and to discredit Matt, has him wear the Daredevil suit. Matt is the better hand-to-hand fighter, but Bullseye can turn any mundane object into a deadly weapon. In the end, Matt is able to turn him against Fisk by revealing it was Kingpin who killed his girlfriend. So he goes to crash Fisk's wedding, where Daredevil, Bullseye, and Kingpin have an epic three-way fight. In the end, Kingpin grabs Bullseye and, breaks his spine. But Bullseye will probably be back. In the end, Matt defeats Fisk, but he knows if he wants to stop him for good, he's gonna have to kill him. But the Catholic guilt, it's just too much. Matt can't bring himself to do it. So Wilson Fisk is under arrest, and if he breaks out again, Daredevil and friends will be there to stop him. This original Netflix series was not, at the time, actually in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But now Daredevil officially is when he showed up in Spider-Man No Way Home. When Peter Parker needed a lawyer, he hired none other than Matt Murdock. It was a short but memorable cameo where he proved he's a really good lawyer. Then he showed up again in She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, where Matt flew out to Los Angeles to try a case against Jen. Matt and Jen kinda hit it off, but She-Hulk and Daredevil ended up fighting, until she realized it was him under there, and Daredevil and She-Hulk got it on. But you can't have Daredevil without Kingpin, and in the Hawkeye series, Wilson Fisk is back! He was a villain for the new Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, who, long story short, had to defeat him to save Christmas. But more importantly, we got to meet Wilson Fisk's niece, Maya Lopez, the deaf crime boss Echo. But long story short, Maya discovered that her uncle Wilson had her father killed, and so she shoots him in the face. But in her series, Echo, Wilson Fisk survived. Yeah, he's a really tough guy to kill. He wanted to make amends with Maya because, family. But Echo decided to leave her life of crime and be a good guy these days, so she uses her newfound superpowers to go inside Fisk's head and try to heal his emotional trauma, but it doesn't really seem like it worked. But on his way home, he had an epiphany. Wilson Fisk is going to run for mayor of New York City. And that brings us to the present for the new series, Daredevil Born Again. If you liked this recap, hit that subscribe button for more of the best recaps of TV and movies.